got to do now is it's a temporary setup on the, to make certain that when I was going in on the layout that I wanted to make certain that the arc length of this edge and this edge were within reason. So I want to make certain first by drilling a hole, putting a temporary, kind of line up what you think is going to be the end and drill a hole. That's why we didn't drill the lower edges on these things. And I'll put in a temporary wire here. Just bend it over your finger to make a U. And then feed it through. Try not to stick yourself too many times. Just give it one good twist. And then arc it up. And a little support for it here is going to get in the way. And about in the middle here. These may move, or they may not. How good I was. And you'll notice you don't have to have a big crew to do this. And so I'm going to come up on the end. Time your stern down. Looks like craziness right now. Hallelujah. A little bit long, but I can live with it. Okay, now I'm going to start drilling some more wires. That end may become closer in as the better I fit this. So I didn't, when I was checking that, I didn't notice how far this was going to be out. So I'm going to go ahead and put a couple wires in right now to get it in shape, and then we'll come back after I get it in shape. Okay, I'm coming down to the end now. Put a couple more wires in to pull this in. Clean out a little bit. I don't think I'm going to do anything to the design. I think I can that little extra on the end will give me something to do. I might be able to trim it down a little bit. Okay. I've got it pretty much squared up. If I do anything, I may take and knock it back a little bit. Put some of the air to the stern. Once I start drilling the holes for the 1/4-inch bolts, putting them in, it's like putting in a shear pin. They just don't move after that. Spot that I may whack off just a little bit. I'll need to adjust the, I'll know better when I come up to the top here, whether the top needs adjusting or just the bottom. But, as we pan back here, I've got all the bolts and wires in. I'll go around, when I get the whole boat done and it's moved around and flexed a little bit, I'll come back and check all the wires, tighten down once more, tighten all the nuts and bolts down, add any nuts and bolts that I may need to put in just to pull, keep an edge from pulling over. So let me start on the other side and get the other side wired up. We got 3 out of 8, so we're getting starting to look like a boat. One of the things I did before I wired this together, I took a little draw saw and shaved off a bit and used my rasp to round it, or to remove some of the material down here. Now what I've done is I've bent a fender washer that'll fit the curvature to the outside. Okay, I've curved one for the inside, and where in the hell's the camera? It's upside down. I've curved one to the outside. So I'll stick one in here to hold everything in place, and then a curved one on the outside to cup it all. and tighten that rascal down. As you see, I've got the first 4 panels are wired up. I was able to trim the end. I don't know exactly how. I've got to check the measurement on the stern panel to see whether or not I need to bring this up a little bit. I think it's too flayed out right now. I think it probably is going to wind up about like that. But I'll know more when I get more of the panels on and I start to use some wire or some cord to pull the stern into shape to see if I need to make any adjustments on the width and the angle of the panel as I lay it out. That's an unknown factor. One of the things that you'll notice too is one of the reasons that I put all the bow panel or the bow tips of the panels together on that leading edge is so when they're back into wired position, the scarf joints all offset each other. This is the only pair that will line up. The next pair will be up here, and the next pair on the top panel will be up in here. So each one of these scarf joints will protect above and below this actual scarf joint to keep it strong. Third panel, second set of panels, I guess, be the third panel, but the second set I put on the sides is going on the same way. Start out at the back, get your edges lined up, and then start wiring along, maybe jump every couple foot or whatever until you get to the bow, until you get the rascal in place and held down. And I'm finding that the arc length between this lower panel and the bottom edge of this upper panel are almost perfect. No changes in the blueprints at all. They came out just spot on the end. And when I get it all done, I'll do a side shot of the bow with all the panels mounted. So I'm going to go back now and then just fill in the rest of the wires and bolts. One of the things we're trying to do now is to make certain that we maintain the edges that we put into it, so we have a nice smooth line. The bolts and the wires kind of hold it together. And on this one, and then the next panel, there's only one more. I'm going to have to really lean on the forward end of it to get it to come down because of the way I designed it in order to make it form a more vertical side panel. But this is what I'm trying to get. Smooth on the inside and a nice seam on the outside with no overlaps either way. Everything is right on it. And then the lower edge of this one came out just absolutely perfect to line up with the one below it. So I'm happy, very happy. Okay, in these tight places, you'll take just a regular U, you put a slight twist in it, so it kind of looks like, I guess, a fish or whatever, and then stick it into the holes, and then as you push it in, you untwist it, and then you go to the outside and then pull it through with the pliers. You'll have to do that, and the tighter the joint, the more you're going to have to do that. We'll have to do that in the stern panels too. We've got the second panel. Well, actually, it'll be it's either the third or the second. It's only one left to go. I got it in. Let me do the other side, and then we'll come to the end panel. I still haven't got my measurements for the stern panel yet. I'll go ahead and get all 4 panels on the sides up on each side. And then I will get some wire or some string and pull the stern in to its design widths. And then I'll let the boat set that way for a few days to just take on the shape and let the plywood get accustomed to this new position. That's one thing I find, that if you let the 1/4-inch plywood, and good plywood, just let it set in its shape for a few days before you do anything to it, it'll take on that shape. The more severely you torture it, the longer you need to let it go. I've had on some boats where I've taken a mister, an old spray bottle, and filled it with water and misted the plywood either on the inside or the outside to loosen that surface grain to make it bend just a little bit easier. Doesn't seem to do anything to the finish as long as you don't do it too soon or try to paint it too soon. So on to the other side.